digital messaging over VHF radio that sends packets, which are just a sentence. You can say a paragraph.
Oh no! Don't make me change my clothes.
Up to 128 characters. So it's you can consider it like that's what a packet is. Just a group, a block of letters, a block of information. And for
So
radio and
digital?
for computer reasons, it's broken down into characters and stuff. Just that, and that's computer lingo, not radio lingo. That's more from a computer. It's the way your keyboard works on your computer and all that stuff. So, and basically what this is a combining of computers and radio, so that you can do emails and text messages like you would on a computer, only through your radio if you don't have an internet connection.
Okay.
So, and that's really what Packet is. The receive stations automatically verify. It also, when you receive a message, it verifies it, it checks it and double checks it so that you don't get errors. So when you get your message, there's no typos in it, there's no errors in it. It's surprisingly well worked out. Okay. Messages can be relayed through one or more intermediate nodes. A node is a repeater.
Okay.
Okay, so any station that does packet is also by definition a repeater. You can use it as what we call a mailbox, which is your recipient that you receive and send from. But it's also, it can be a repeater. So if you have yours turned on in Corte Madera and I want to talk to Sausalito, but my radio can't get to Sausalito, I can go to I can send my signal to your node, called the node, which is the repeater part of it. And then it would listen to my message, store it, and then retransmit it to Sausalito.
Okay.
So in that sense, it's a repeater. And as I say, everybody's radio packet setup is by definition also a repeater. Okay? Messages can be private or public. In other words, I can send one directly to you, you can send one directly to me, or Marilyn could post one and it would be, everybody could read it. So the addresses can be public or private, depending upon how you address it when you create the messages.
Okay.
Messages can be retrieved at the receiving station or retrieved remotely. So if I send you a message and you're visiting over in the East Bay and you go, I wonder if I got any messages. So you can, it's like it can act like an answering machine, only it's a texting machine. So you can take your radio in the East Bay and you can radio to your house and say, list all of my messages. So it's like an answering machine, only it's text.
Huh.
All right, so you need a computer and a radio, but some people have little small handheld computers and handy-talkies and they're packet stations, and you can walk around with them if you want. So they're not all base station oriented.
Wait, back up. They have a handheld computer connected to the handy-talkie?
Yes, just like this is a laptop computer connected to a
so
VHF
it's not like
radio.
a cell phone, of course, that connects with whatever. There's a separate device.
It's a separate device, but there's we'll get to that. That's what the WinLink is. That gets into your cell phone and stuff. So this is just the radio version of it right now. Okay, and the reason why it's valid is that one of the considerations is if the whole cell phone system fails for any reason during an emergency, this is a way to communicate that's autonomous and completely above and away from all of that. So it's not subject to the linkages of all the other systematic equipment functioning and operating. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why it remains separate and autonomous. Okay, IC 213 form. Did you take your IC, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a standard form. The reason for that is, bring your chair over. That's fine. This is completely here's what it is, Phyllis. When was it the big fire down in Big Sur, whenever it was, 10 years ago or so, somewhere down south? The radio systems went down from too much traffic, and the whole thing became confused, and it got out of control because none of the emergency first responders past a certain point could communicate with each other. So one of the things is the Incident Command System, which is what ICS stands for, was created, and it was a way to separate and to put into form and formalize various communications so that miscommunications can be eliminated as much as possible. Because it turned out it wasn't that the radios failed, it wasn't that the people weren't accessible to the radios. It's that when they began to talk, nobody was talking on the same terms, and so when they did it,
didn't have the same language. They didn't.
in a sense, in a sense, yeah, in the same.
They didn't use that.
What it was is that they didn't have the same way of reporting, so it got out of control because one person said it one way and another person said it another way, and in the end it was like, well, who means what? So it was determined that the incident command system was created, which has all kinds of hierarchies and subsections and stuff, among which came out a whole set of forms, which puts it all into a way. This is an example of it. But it formalizes how you report something so that everybody says it all exactly the same at the same time. All right, so that when you transfer, if you're the fire chief in Corte Madera and the radio system has failed, you get on your ham radio and you send a message to me in Woodacre saying you got to get a hold of the Woodacre Fire Department because their radios are down too, and give them this information. Well, in order for you to communicate exactly what you mean, and in order for me to receive it and not get confused and not make a mistake, and when I'm retransmitting it to the fire chief in Woodacre, a form like 213 has been created so that everything gets kept one-to-one all the way through. So that's important. Communication really comes down to how well you can communicate, with or without radios. I mean, if I'm sitting here in front of you and explaining something, if I'm not making sense to you, then I'm not communicating very well. So that's really what it boils down to. And so in our realm, there are a number of ICS forms. The one that we use is called an ICS 213, and it has to do with radio transmissions. The packet stations are all over Marin County, as you can see here. And so from right here where Steve is, he can send and receive messages and can be in communication with any command center anywhere in Marin County. Now, our commitment is to Marin County. If there are also other conditions where we go county-wide, where we do stuff with Sonoma County and San Francisco County and so on and so forth. But for the purpose of this demonstration, this is a single county-wide. All right. So what's going to happen here is Steve is going to show us how to send and receive some messages. We've prepared some messages, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through the exercise and show the communication with the various stations. Steve.